do that, we should cover two things. First off, we should cover why you're so excited. Yeah, we should really cover that. The teasing is ending, folks. On Instagram, the day you're listening to this podcast, on Instagram, you will see the last actual tease of what Paul's car is going to be, this time with footage. And then we will follow with an actual reveal video, because that's right, Paul's excited because the car is here.
It is. And thanks to Brandon, he was the transport driver who finally brought the car from Phoenix, Arizona. And great guy, I really loved chatting with him. And he arrived at 9 o'clock at night at my house, and Todd kindly shot a video, which you will be watching on Facebook, of the reveal. And I am excited to share this car with you guys, so go look at that when you get a chance.
But not only that, I must admit, I've been a bad friend, because I had to all but tear you away from your new car because we had the podcast. You were practically jumping around and kept walking around. And why wouldn't you? I mean, anybody would do that with their new car, but I was like, buddy, I'm sorry, we have to do a podcast. So anyway, here we are. In fact, we're actually doing podcasting a little bit differently than normal because we were waiting for the arrival of Paul's car. So I know I will sound different than I normally do. So anyway, here we are diving in. One bit of news I wanted to cover, talking about cars that we own. A couple people have asked us about this GT86 shooting brake wagon concept that came out this past week. And I've seen the photos, and you brought up the fact that Subaru did their own version a couple years back.
Yeah, they did. I'm glad you brought this up because you are an owner. I mean, nothing like, being an owner of that particular car when the new model or a variation comes out. I mean, this happens with just about every car model and the next one. Sure, of course. It's some iteration like this one. And it's the shoe. It's the shoe of your car. You realize that?
Yeah, it's the clown shoe ring. And here's the thing, as car journalists, we are almost required by law to like all shooting brakes. However, we are. I don't know why that happens, but it's true. However, I have to say, I think this is atrocious.
Do you?
I just don't like it at all.
That's interesting. We don't talk before we podcast about, we discuss a few things about what we're going to talk about, but I didn't ask Todd his opinion on this car, so I'm actually interested to hear why you don't like it. And is it partly because you're an owner already and you're used to the shape, used to
It's the back of the CRZ, or the CRX, actually. Shut up. The rear window, the rear glass is way too small and mostly invisible. I almost feel like the roof tapers down too far. I feel like it's almost trying to resolve, and then it's got this, it's kind of like that CRZ, CRX kind of chopped hatchback look. It's that resolution problem. We talk about it on the Panamera. It's how do you resolve the back of the wagon? It really does feel to me, the typical thing when you cover half the car and you cover the other half of the car, and you look at them like that, it doesn't feel like it's a coherent design.
Okay, I can see that. The news article here says it was conceived by the Australian design team. Also, the Australians who have that, the Ute, the El Camino. Thank you. It's the car with the pickup truck bed. So they come up with sports cars and then turn them into more useful kinds of cars. But Americans would say, just get yourself a pickup truck. Whereas I can see, the Australians can do this. And it's got more space. I mean, you could fit all of your tires down on the back of that and take it to the track. So you can switch out your tires.
That is the great facts. You're bringing up a great point. When Toyota released this car, they said that they created enough room for you to take your 4 tires to the jack to the track. Only if you took 4 Space Saver tires, because I have tried this and it fails, so it's not going to happen.
I was thinking of that when I saw it. I was thinking of that, and you could, definitely more usable, and certainly the back seat. Now you can have tall torso people that still have to chop their legs off their knees. It's help with the leg room. So
I'm next to the version from a couple years ago. It looks like the BRZ All-Road. It looks like they gave the Outback and the Audi All-Road treatment to a BRZ. It becomes a sports car, off-road sports car kind of look. Maybe I like this better, but folks, it's a great platform. making every possible tease and variation to possibly fix on it except for the power. Is this a joke somewhere?
Good point. That's a good point. And they have, at this point, they have teased the BRZ, the iterations of that car. They've teased new body styling and all kinds of stuff with this car, and avoided power to the point where it's now so obvious that the rest of us are going, come on.
It's almost like it's some how long can we keep the joke running kind of thing.
Right.
How long can we address everything possible except for power, which is the one thing everybody wishes this car had more of. You know what we should do? A shooting brake. Stop it. Stop it.
And this car remains a concept that I kind of am into it, but I can't imagine this would be a good seller because people don't know how to classify this. It's not the sports car that we were all eagerly anticipating when this car got released. It's just sort of a hybrid morphed kind of I wish they would kind of update your car with more power because everybody who owns one, that's all they're trying to do is achieve that.
That's what we're talking about. You're right.
It's actually a question from people. They're asking if you're going to do anything, forced induction.
Side-by-side comparison of here's the most common things you can do without forced induction, and here's what forced induction does. Another FRS. I'll put that with mine. We're hoping to do the open flash tablet on top of the header and exhaust we've already done, and kind of do the kind of most straightforward things most people do, naturally aspirated variation, then put that with forced induction, then have a conversation about do I want to go further. So we're hoping to put that together later this year. It's in the works. We think we've found another car, thanks to one of you, which we really appreciate. So we'll see if we can pull that off.
That was Lucas. Other people have asked, but here for this round of questions, that was Lucas C. Serior, I believe it's his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lucas, thanks for the question, and keep them coming. I'm scrolling through Facebook questions. That's amazing. And I posted this up at 5 p.m. on Monday before we podcast. Can't believe that.
It's pages and pages, which is great.
This is awesome.
We should try to cover Brian writing in, and actually I was reading back through his email here, and he mentions that he does a lot of driving in Kentucky, back hills of Kentucky, so I'm guessing you must live in Kentucky, but you have a Dodge Charger RT right now, so let's just go ahead and clarify, large car, and you love it. Yeah, and you love it, and you've thought about, doing okay, let's start down the road to modifying it, let's go supercharger, let's change the diff, let's do a new rear end. I mean, all the stuff that it's a rabbit hole for any of these cars. So you're thinking about doing that, and then you've gone, okay, all right, should I do that? And you're looking for up to $40K to work with, which is genuine, real money of options here to work with. So you're going, all right, I could do a coupe, I could do a sedan. You don't really need your back seats, you discovered. You used them once in owning the car. So you're kind of going, all right, guys, what should I get? 35 to 40 grand is options. And clearly you like large muscle cars. So this is a fascinating discussion here.
Yeah, have you noticed how many other kinds of similar cars he's driven in his quest right now? Yeah, as you said, he's got the 2013 Dodge Charger, which we call the Blacktop Edition. And we agreed, we liked that car. It hustled, and that was not even the V8.
Cool.
It wasn't the SRT, it wasn't the Hellcat. It moved. It was a comfortable, spacious car. I can see why you like that. But he has driven the 2016-2017 Camaro SS, so the brand new Camaro 6th generation Camaro. And he's thinking, should I go SS? Should I stretch for the 1LE version when they do finally come out? What else is he driven? Challenger Scat Pack. Oh no, he's not driven one, but he's investigating that.
Intrigued by it, yeah.
he's looked at the 2014 and newer CTS V Sports, so kind of like CTS V, which that's got to be a consideration. We like those cars. And then a car that we've recommended many times and talked about, we drove it at the track, and that is the 2015 and newer Chevy SS with MagneRide, with manual transmission. We've tracked that car and really enjoyed it. And he's looking at all these very similar cars. I have to laugh. But he's kind of trying to dip a toe in the pool of British or European / German cars and wondering about them. He's thinking about maybe
wondering about branching out.
Cars, or he says his dream car is the F-body fiber, the 2002 Trans Am WS6. So it's the F-body coupe. I'm curious as to why that's your dream car, because you've driven the new SS, the brand new 2016 Camaro SS. I'm curious as to what you like about that car, Brian. But,
well, yeah, it does feel like you're going back. I mean, look, cool engine, interesting cars, but I agree. I feel like we definitely moved on. So that's the consideration. I would say let's go new SS over that, but who knows? It's one of those things where is there nostalgia involved? What's the thing that is drawing me back to that car? It's a fascinating little twist there, Brian. I'm actually thinking of a couple things while we're talking, a couple things we thought about. I'm trying to see what's the price range. Where did you want on this?
Well, he's got 35 to 40, which instantly means I kind of blew that up and typed in.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
45 will get you, Brian, because the main thing that I got from your email here is that you're aiming for higher performance than you have now. Well, in that category and slightly more, just with a little bit more money, you can taste dramatically more performance. And I want to tell you the car that I think you should get, but I do want to offer you some suggestions. I liked where you're going. I like what you're driving. You're suggesting that 1LE or the SS, yes, all good. The problem is you've driven it, so anything that's not as new as this will now be compared to that car as a benchmark. So, for example, a 2008 Mustang, a Roush Mustang, that's about 45,000, that's not going to compare to the brand new SS. It's the same money, but I guarantee you're going to like the newer car better. And so that's why I'm thinking, maybe let's focus on newer cars for that reason.
Yeah, he even says here he's kind of looking for latest in tech, and he's kind of looking to upgrade his world a little bit because his Charger here is a 2013, so it's not like he's living in the dark ages of cars to begin with. You're running to go beyond that. So that's the thing. We got to go pretty new to get to update you. It's hard to go backwards. I totally agree.
I think it's hard, and so that's why I asked why the F-body is so appealing to you, and I think it's got to be something nostalgia or design or just you like those as a kid or something like that. But once you drive all these other cars, you're gonna probably agree and say, yeah, I need to probably go newer and more power and ride, all that stuff. Anything with magnetic ride, of course. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 suggestions, and then the car is number 6. The car I think you should buy.
You did well. I got to be honest. I'm a little stumped beyond Brian's actual list to come up with something that I don't think I've driven. I mean, I can run to a few things that are not even on this list at all. Like one of the ones that dawned on me is the E92 BMW because it's rear-wheel drive. It has a big V8. It checks the boxes while being a very different animal. However, you're stepping into a European car at that point. You're concerned about maintenance. That may be a situation that you're interested in. Boxes in some ways and get you into a totally different driving experience. But in the kind of things you've said you already like, you're already kind of checking all the boxes. I mean, the only thing you really haven't brought up here is the Mustang. You already brought it up, Paul, but the Mustang, you could get a new Ford GT for this money.
Yeah, right.
I think if nothing else, I think you should drive the Ford GT since you already mentioned the SS. Drive the Ford GT. I mean, obviously, we just did our GT350 versus Boss review. The GT350 is way up in the price range. There's nothing wrong with the current GT. I don't like it as much, but if you're going to drive the new SS, you should drive the new GT just to know what that is. And both the SS and the GT, those are super cars in full and just dynamics. And trying to get on the scat pack, those notches are kind of plastic. They are muscle cars. The SS and the Mustang have become more sports cars now. So you've already shifting into a different kind of area of cars, which is why I wonder if that E92 kind of straddles the world. Anyway, keep going.
That's exactly the car that I had on my list, although that's not the car I think you should buy. Maybe drive it. It is a suggestion, but what I found with the 40 to 42,000 range is the E90, so the four-door sedan in the 2008 to 2011. The newer M3s, the E90 series, later than 2011, are still more expensive, unfortunately. But you could get into a manual transmission with the V8 in the E90, that four-door sedan. I actually prefer the proportions of the four-door a little bit more. I like it better. I guess I just like the four-door look. And they're a little bit less money, and they're a little bit more prevalent. You can kind of find them for that 40, 42 range and manual transmission.
Yeah.
So
they're specific about it, but here's the other thing. He also says he has no issue with getting an auto. He's fine with getting an auto. He likes the 8-speed auto in the SS, Camaro SS. So I say if you're going to go auto, look, we haven't driven the new Camaro SS with that 8-speed. I have genuinely only heard good things about it. But the DCT in the BMWs is fantastic. So again, you've got an automatic. If you want to stay automatic, that's going to be a great car for that as well. I will acknowledge this is out of the train of thought of where you are, which is why I like it, but it might not be a match because you might have German hand maintaining M3, that might be scary.
Yeah, possibly. All right, Brian, so I bumped it up. I admit, 45K. I admit, just roll with it, just for these suggestions, and then I'll get to something. First of all, 2013 Corvette Grand Sport, 45K. What else? The 2015 Lexus RC350. So it's F-Sports. It's, you like the dynamics of the car and it might appeal to you. It's a little bit smaller than what you're used to. Those are $45,000, right? It's just
Hang on. I have to stop. The Grand Sport actually is a fantastic idea. I think that is inspired. The C6 Grand Sport is actually a good inspired choice, especially for the back seats. It has surprising amounts of room. Honestly, that's a great recommendation. I do like that quite a bit. What a different experience for Brian. I do then have to say though, the Lexus.
Alright, so you like the Grand Sport, you don't like the Lexus. I can see it coming.
But here's the thing. Just imagine with me, listener, and you as well, Paul. Imagine with me the guy that trades in his Dodge Charger to buy a Lexus in the Kentucky. Does that happen? Is the world going to fold in on itself if that occurs? Brian, honestly, if you do that, I will fly to where you are and shake your hand because that would be unprecedented in the world of cars. I'm just saying.
That's funny. Okay, I didn't really see that bad. But surely there's people in Lexington somewhere. Lexus.
It's not. I'm not saying people in Kentucky don't love Lexus. I'm saying a guy who wants a muscle car, inherently drives a Dodge Charger, drives it to the Lexus dealership, leaves his Charger and drives out of the Lexus. I just don't see that through line. That's all. I'm not saying that against the other Lexus. I'm just saying I don't see how those worlds connect.
Oh, I see. Well, then I'll two-step and dance around that and say, drive one for the experience, and just so you know what other cars in this price category will feel. That it's a bit more luxury. It will help you. I threw that in there because I had to have, a Japanese choice, Asian continent choice in there that's in that price range, kind of, that he could consider. He might like it. Who knows? He's going to write back and say, hey, that's about Lexus. And you'll follow. No, you'd be stepping on an airplane. That's what
I'd be stepping on an airplane to go shake my hand. That's exactly what I would do. I'd have to take a camera. It'd be a quite expensive trip for just a handshake. But anyway, yeah.
Right. All right, so a couple of German choices. A bit newer is that M235i. BMW likes so much. Then I thought, well, I'm going to get just but it is in price range. It's a smaller, more nimble color. It's not the power kind of thing you're talking about.
That's another major shift. Just scale.
Scale-wise, yes.
Up and down. No, we like that car. I won't deny that. Keep going.
What else? engines. We've got 2014 Audi S5. That is the supercharged engine. And, 2014.
So that's got that German. That's kind of got that German muscle car feel as well. That S5 and that V8. That's you're right.
Although this one was the Turbo 6.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But fortunately, to throw all those to the wind and land on what I think is your choice. And it's in line with your email here, Ryan. It's in line with the things that you're looking for. And again, I'm looking back at power. I'm looking at the fact that you've driven this new Camaro and you like all the modern amenities. And I'm especially looking at the magnetic because of the ride handling and the dual personality shot.
You're calling your shot. Go for it.
I think I am. And this is the 2012 to 2014 Camaro ZL. We've driven this car on the track. It's an impressive car. You get gobs of horsepower. It's essentially a detuned ZR1 engine in it with a supercharged V8. It's got the magnetic ride, and the best part is it's already taken that depreciation hit, and so it falls. Yes, it's 45. I admit it is. I don't think you can get one for 40. It's 45,000. However, I think it's a big step in power. It's still got those modern things that you will like, that you said in your email that you like about, driving the brand new Camaro and magnetic ride. I just keep coming back to that for you. And it's a newer car, so
yeah.
ZL1.
The ZL.
That's kind of where I'm going.
You know what? I don't know why I didn't go there, because you're right. The ZL1 is a Camaro that shocked us on the track, and you're gonna have to deal with the bunker styling, but you would in the new one too, and you'd get a lot of car for your money there. That is the thing about that choice. If you go with that prior generation ZL1, it is a ton of car for the money. That, honestly, well done, sir. Well done.
Oh, well, thank you.
I did not do that well tonight, because I felt like he had done a lot of the choices, but I think you landed on something there. Well done, Brian. I hope something in there is helpful. And again, if you buy a Lexus, apparently I'm flying to Kentucky. So
yeah, it was just more of a, here's a range of choices. I like to give people a range of choices. Just
you're broadening his horizons. I get it. Yep.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna run away from Lexus project, which is fine. It's good.
It would run though. It'd run. It'd keep running. Shall we do some Facebook questions maybe?
I think we should. You identified a few out of this gigantic list of 13, 14 questions. This is awesome, guys. Thank you for writing the questions. I like what it's doing too, because these are sort of quick hits. We've got to make not researching prior to the podcast like we are for car debates. We're actually just quick. What's the answer? Go.
You bring out a good point, and that is, for those of you that would like us to never be wrong, this is where you turn off the podcast. Because the thing about the Facebook questions is we are shooting from the hip. So if you were sitting with your Google checker in front of you, there will be days where we got that one. But the fun thing about this is it broadens what we end up talking about on the podcast. So thank you for that. Robert Hopkins asked an interesting question. He's talking about all of the various nannies that are in all the cars that we drive now. We've got stability control, traction control, tire pressure monitoring system, automatic braking. We drove the Tesla Model X with its autopilot. I mean, we're getting more and more and more of them. His question is, obviously, as car enthusiasts, we'd kind of like to be more in control. We don't like the nannies. But having said that, which one do we think is the most beneficial to just sheer safety? What is the one we actually think that is a cool one? Which I had to think about this for a bit.
Did you come up with something? Curious.
I think where I've landed is automatic braking as my favorite.
Really?
And here's why I say that. I don't want it personally for any of the driving that I do, but when automatic braking is great, is actually that thing that we all do. You reach down to change the stereo, or your phone beeps and you go, wait, I can't look at that now. Whatever it is, and then these thousands of people I see all the time. I have to tell a horror story. All right. Paul and I were driving in Salt Lake not that long ago. We were driving behind a woman. What was she driving? Do you remember? Wasn't it an old Jag?
It was a silver Jag. I think from the early early 2000s, somewhere in there.
We followed her for about a half dozen blocks, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. In a half a dozen blocks, she drifted into oncoming traffic on 4 separate occasions. And it was obvious to us at the first stop that we sat behind. This was just a residential street. She was texting and driving. It was horrifying. It was one of the most chilling things I've ever been in a car for. And I say that not because it was high speed, because we were almost holding our breath expecting to see a head-on collision. One woman she missed by maybe a half inch. The other woman didn't even notice because that woman was also on her phone. The reason I said automatic braking is because people that are looking at their phone aren't really looking up like they should be, aren't really paying attention. What's the thing they're not going to do right? They're not going to brake when they should.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember that vividly. It actually wasn't that long ago. And yeah, I was pretty freaked out just watching. I mean, we had half a mind to follow her, and then what do you do? It devolves from there. Like, there's just no point. But you want to tell somebody, here's what we're seeing. You're not seeing it. How can you endanger other people?
It was horrifying, but I thought about thinking of that woman. If she'd been looking down at her phone when somebody had come to a stop in front, I mean, the fading out of her lane was literally chilling. It was bone chilling. But if she had somebody stop short in front of her, she would have clocked out, and it would have been a rear end. And the automatic braking does have the capability of stopping that reality. The bad part about all these damn things, and it's where the autopilot's going, the more and more we rely on the car to do it all, the less and less we're going to be prepared when the car gives up in an emergency situation and goes, grab the wheel. We're going to be like, why? What's going on? What's happening?
Right,
and then something terrible's happened. But the automatic braking in that regard, because of the way most people use cars, I think is probably helpful.
Interesting. I agree. I can see that. As you were talking, I was thinking more about traction control for cars, and I think that enthusiasts like us, like you listening, automatically dive for that button to turn everything off, thinking this is how I always want the car to drive.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I like the fact that it's on when I'm just cruising, and I don't want to have to worry about, because it does make a car, it transforms a car so dramatically. And primarily, cars with high horsepower, rear-wheel drive, that kind of thing. But it is such a massive transformation in the car's personality. So the good thing is, we can turn it off. For most cars, for the most part, it's completely off. There are a few that it's sort of just a very loose safety net. The holes in the net have just gotten really large, but the net's still kind of there. But for the cars that you can truly turn it off, it's great, because then it really demands more of you as a driver, and then you understand car control better. But then when you really are just cruising, maybe it's a slick road, rainy night, it is a good thing to have there. You don't want to be thinking that racing, it's a cold, rainy, snowy night, and you're just wanting to drive your car, and it's a good thing to have there. But it's also a good thing to completely go away when you want to drive, and then it demands more of you as a driver. So I like the dynamic there. I like how
You bring up an interesting point. You make me think of the cars that we've got for layers of it. I actually kind of like that. Because,
right.
The thing that we all do, and I say this because Paul and I are guilty of this, Paul and I should guilty of it. I think there's the easiest thing. You think, oh, I got this. Oh, I got this. I got this. I'm in this car, and I'm turning traction control, I'm going to drive the car. I'll be honest with you, the really heavy-duty stuff we get in, I like working my way up through the traction control settings, just to see, A, how aggressive is the traction control, and B, how much is the car going to be more powerful than I expect initially, and the computers go, I know this car better than you, let me tell you. And then work my way to more and more until it's all the way off. I actually think, especially when we're getting up in these cars in the higher ground, where it's like 500, 600, 700 horsepower, in a car that weighs 3,000 pounds, jumping directly to traction control and falling off is part of it just because I need to be smarter than that. Okay? I'm going to get there, but initially I need to understand, okay, how aggressive is the traction control, and how scared of the back wheels is the traction control system. You know what I mean? It becomes kind of informative of, this car's that bad off, you're cutting it that early. I feel like that colors the review, and I like the ones that got, like you're saying, hang on, I don't care, all the way to track fully off-road with a couple of layers in the middle can be helpful.
They can. You and I have even been in conversations with instructors at track days who will say, you know what, I even like the light setting of traction control still being on. Completely off. Some instructors would say, well, this car is just nearly uncontrollable. And your lap times actually increase. And so if you have even just the last layer still on, it's actually assisting you in a way where you're actually faster. And it can be a good thing. So I like, again, the dichotomy. We don't need to just sit there and be burnouts, even though we have to do that to rental cars, I admit. But anyway,
yeah. But it's not a universal thing of our existence. That's the thing. The problem where it really becomes an issue is this cannot be turned off. That is a problem. But short of that, I think these are, in many ways, helpful technologies. Or let's be honest, they're pretty
Wow. All right. Scrolling through the list here. Gosh, there's so many. Let's see here.
Story that I had, I went shopping for, well, I'll tell you what I wear. I actually really like Puma as a brand for driving shoes. And there are multiple slight variations to the cut and design of their shoes that are good for driving. And so you got to find the one that works for your foot. And one of the problems is, one of the problems is, this is the first world problem, a lot of times when you order online, which is the only way to get selection, the sizing of Puma shoe between one design and another don't match. I've had some of them that really worked and the other design anyway. So, Pumas, I like those. However, I went into one of those kind of recover everything sporting goods stores here in Salt Lake a week or two ago. Yeah. And they have like wall of shoes. It's like a block long side of the store. All of these are shoes. And you're walking along, it's like, shoes for running in the rain, shoes for trail running. And it's like every little micro variation they have it. So what did I start doing? I started looking for having driving shoes. I'm not seeing any, obviously. So I walked over with the girls that's working there. I don't know if I told you this, Paul, but I said, do you have any driving shoes? And it was like a 2 or 3 second wait while she's thinking this through. And then I could see the gears engage and her eyes lit up and she's like, I'm looking for golf. Oh, you're kidding me. No, I'm not kidding. And at which point I waited 2 or 3 beats and I went, no, I don't need for golf. I need for like driving a car. She went, oh, yeah, we don't have those. So I will forever, when anybody says driving shoes the rest of my life, I will instantly hear this program in my head going, oh, you mean for golf? That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And, we think that always just run to the very narrow-soled shoes. Obviously depends on your foot, but, for driving fast, driving hard, the problem is not every car is built with the pedals super close for the ideal heel-toe kind of situation. Because people have big feet, and they have to build them, unless it's a race car, a Formula 1, Indy, or something specific that is, kind of a race car. I have found that not all pedals are ideal, and so when I do wear those narrow driving shoes, they're actually too narrow, and I can't catch the edge of the throttle where I want to, and then I switch to running shoes that are, I like Nikes personally. They're still kind of a narrow shoe, but that lip, that edge of the sole there that kind of sticks out with a little bit of tread, that's actually what's catching the edge of the throttle. So, I can see that.
And it kind of helps.
Sometimes it's helpful.
It's just a little bit of a lip there, and it's a little bit more helpful. So I kind of wear, I guess, the running shoes or cross-training shoes. No, not cross-training. Those are big and clunky. Just running shoes, I guess.
Yeah. You have a lot of shoes, and yeah, you have a lot of shoes.
Yeah, got 1 or 2 pairs.
You have a tendency to coordinate your shoes with your watch. I don't wear a watch, and I have terrible taste in clothing, so I don't have that problem. But yeah.
Oh, man. But I like the Pumas, too, and I hear Pelotti's coming back. I mean, I don't know what happened with those. Anybody hear what's going on with Pelotti? They went away, they went bankrupt, or they went out of business, or something. And I felt like they needed to change their design. They were a little bit on the clunky side. All right, yeah.
And I mean, you can get nutty, you can get into the, I want Alpine Stars, but are you actually race driving? I mean, you can get all into the specially made. I want to wear a shoe I can wear all the time, and then also the driving shoe, and that's why I go with the Pumas, but the right answer. It also comes down to foot shape and that kind of madness. But I did want to touch on that briefly. I've got 2 others. What else have you got?
Mario writes in. Mario Suera, I think that's his last name. He is actually asking if it's okay to take your car on a track day. He's asking about Streets of Willow, but he's asking if you're still paying your car off, whether you're financing or leasing, is this okay? And he's also asking about, should you look into track insurance for the day? I think you should check with the insurance agent to ask if your current insurance policy covers track time, because generally speaking, it doesn't. And once the problem is, once you ask that question, then you raise this whole other...
I don't think you should ask. I don't think you should ask. Let's say this. I would assume your current insurance does not cover your track day. Right. And it may have a specific clause. And there have been, granted, it's the internet, there are horror stories for everything, but there have been issues where people that have no wrecks, no problems have been dropped because of things like autocross. I mean, I've heard weird stories about this. I would say do not raise your hand here and say, I'm about to track my car. If you're worried, get the extra track day insurance from a third party so that you're covered. But I personally would not say raise your hand and ask them, because that go good places.
I kind of agree. I just... Asking your insurance agent is going to raise a whole bunch of other questions that you're not going to really want to ask. You're not going to want to go down that road. So just assume that your street insurance policy doesn't cover track days, and go get yourself an extra track insurance policy if you're concerned. That also doesn't have anything to do with whether you're financing or leasing or if you own the car outright. I really don't think that matters too much.
No, that's irrelevant. I mean, you can
insure the car.
You can be paying off your car and do theoretically anything you want with it. The problem is, if you wreck it, now who's paying for it? That's really what we're talking about.
And they're going to want to know the situation. How was it wrecked?
Track it. You want to go track it, great. You want to go track it, great. But if you want to defend yourself insurance-wise, you're probably going to need to get a third-party insurance. Yeah, I would be very frightened of you, depending upon your insurance carrier. I don't think you set up good things. But I'm going to go track my car. Is that cool? Because it's probably not cool, and now they're going to be looking at you going, what else does this guy do? That's my instinct.
You know, interestingly, when the Evo 10 was released into the market and the prior generation STI, I had heard stories about Mitsubishi and Subaru actually they were going to tracks and asking for the list of who's racing what, because people were bringing cars back into the dealership under warranty and saying, oh, I've got a blown turbo or a broken half shaft or something major, and they're going, how is this possible with normal street driving? And they were asking SCCA and NASA for the lists of who raced at this track, their car, and who was it, and they would try to chase people down because that part of, that wasn't covered under warranty. Now, more and more cars like the Focus RS are actually set up for that. I think even the ST, they don't care. They know the car's going to be tracked. It's under warranty, but they're built in such a way that, they're probably going to take a lot of abuse before they do break. You blow a turbo, something like that. But that was, I think, on the early stages of those performance cars, and they didn't really consider people would be bringing in this warranty claim after tracking the car and going, wait, you took your car to the track, you broke your car doing something we're not covering, so...
Or we don't want to. I mean, it's like the 09 GTR issue, where anybody that used their launch control voided their warranty, and they were blowing their transmissions out of